things, but underneath all of that is the Bible. I am unapologetically 100% in favor of is the Bible. Jesus is the Word. There is no delineation. If the Bible says it, that's what Jesus is, and that's what Jesus believes. That's what this podcast is actually about, is to actually alert people to what is coming and what is our responsibility in the midst of it.
Paul Cox, the headline reads, Trump tells the UK, go get your own oil. I mean, that would be good advice if we wanted to drill in the North Sea, but our absolute wet wipes of leaders refuse to, Paul.
Yeah, can you imagine how discombobulated Keir Starmer is right now? I mean, he has spent nearly all of his premiership sort of playing down the necessity, really, to have this relationship with the US. And all of a sudden, we've got this sort of, we just do not fund our defence well enough, so we don't have the defence capabilities to go in and do exactly this. So we're reliant on NATO, which is crumbling, and then we're just left with the US, who are our allies, who are now saying, do you know what, if you're not going to help us out, we're not going to help you out. So we find ourselves in this terrible predicament now where we don't really have a navy to speak of, so we can't go and get our own oil. We can't support our ally. We can't rely on NATO because they are ideologically opposed to Donald Trump also, even though they're funded greatly by the US. And it's not just the funding, by the way, because I used to work with NATO. It's not just the funding that goes in from the US to NATO. It's nearly all of the technology involved comes from the US as well. So there is no NATO without the US, and we are not able to protect ourselves or protect the Straits of Hormuz without the US. So whilst I don't like Hegseth talking down the UK and the way he did, you can't blame Trump right now for coming out and saying these things, Ben.
Then I call up France, Macron, whose wife treats him extremely badly, and still recovering from the right to the jaw. And I say, Emmanuel, we'd love to have some help in the Gulf, even though we're setting records in. Thank you very much. My fellow Americans, good evening. Let me begin by congratulating the team at NASA and our brave astronauts on the successful launch of Artemis 2. It was quite something. It will be traveling further than any manned rocket has ever flown and will very substantially pass the moon, go around it, and come back home from a distance that has never been done before. It's amazing. They are on the way, and God bless them. These are brave people. We want to God bless those 4 unbelievable astronauts. As we speak this evening, it's been just 1 month since the United States military began Operation Epic Fury, targeting the world's #1 state sponsor of terror, Iran. In these past 4 weeks,
I'm not going to talk too much over Trump.
Obviously,
swift,
here we are Wednesday night.
We are live. Let's listen to the president. We'll chime in
victories on the
needed.
battlefield. Victories like few people have ever seen before. Tonight, Iran's Navy is gone. Their Air Force is in ruins. Their leaders, most of them, terrorist regime they led, are now dead. Their command and control of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is being decimated as we speak. Their ability to launch missiles and drones is dramatically curtailed, and their weapons, factories, and rocket launchers are being blown to pieces. Very few of them left. Never in the history of warfare has an enemy suffered such clear and devastating large-scale losses in a matter of weeks. Our enemies are losing in America, as it has been for 5 years under my presidency, is winning, and now winning bigger than ever before. Before discussing this current situation, I also want to thank our troops for the masterful job they did in taking the country of Venezuela in a matter of minutes. That hit was quick, lethal, violent, and respected by everyone all over the world. After rebuilding our military during my first term, We have by far the strongest military anywhere in the world, and now we're working along with Venezuela and are, in a true sense, joint venture partners. We're getting along incredibly well in the production and sale of massive amounts of oil and gas, the second largest reserves on Earth after the United States of America. We're now totally independent of the Middle East, and yet we are there to help. We don't have to be there. We don't need their oil. We don't need anything they have, but we're there to help our allies. Tonight, I want to provide an update on the tremendous progress our warriors have made in Iran and discuss why Operation Epic Fury is necessary for the safety of America and the security of the free world. From the very first day I announced my campaign for president in 2015, I have vowed that I would never allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. This fanatical regime has been chanting death to America, death to Israel for 47 years. Their proxies were behind the murder of 241 Americans in the Marine barracks bombing in Beirut, the slaughter of hundreds of our service members with roadside bombs. They were involved in the attack on the USS Cole, and they carried out the countless other heinous acts, including the just horrible, bloody atrocities of October 7th in Israel, something that most people have never seen anything like it. This murderous regime also recently killed 45,000 of their own people who were protesting in Iran. 45,000 dead. For these terrorists to have nuclear weapons would be an intolerable threat. The most violent and thuggish regime on earth would be free to carry out their campaigns of terror, coercion, conquest, and mass murder from behind a nuclear shield. I will never let that happen, and neither should any of our past presidents. This situation has been going on for 47 years and should have been handled long before I arrived in office. I did many things during my 2 terms in office to stop the quest for nuclear weapons by Iran first, and perhaps most importantly, I killed General Qasem Soleimani in my first term. He was an evil genius, brilliant person, a horrible human being, however, the father of the roadside bomb, and he lived just horrible what he did. Iran would have been perhaps in far better, stronger position. He lived, we would have had probably a different conversation tonight. But you know what? We'd still be winning and winning big. And then very importantly, I terminated Barack Hussein Obama's Iran nuclear deal, a disaster. Obama gave them $1.7 billion in cash, green cash, took it out of banks from Virginia, D.C., and Maryland, all the cash they had. He flew it by airplanes in an attempt to buy their respect and loyalty, but it didn't work. They laughed at our president and went on with their mission to have a nuclear bomb. His Iran deal would have led to a colossal arsenal of massive nuclear weapons for Iran, and they would have had them years ago, and they would have used them. It would have been a different world. There would have been no Middle East and no Israel right now, in my opinion, the opinion of a lot of great experts, had I not terminated that terrible deal. And I was so honored to do it. I was so proud to do it. It was so bad right from the beginning. Essentially, I did what no other president was willing to do. They made mistakes, and I am correcting them. My first preference was always the path of diplomacy, yet the regime continued their relentless quest for nuclear weapons and rejected every attempt at an agreement. For this reason, in June, I ordered a strike on Iran's key nuclear facilities, an Operation Midnight Hammer. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Those beautiful B-2 bombers performed magnificently. We totally obliterated those nuclear sites. The regime then sought to rebuild their nuclear program at a totally different location, making clear they had no intention of abandoning their pursuit of nuclear weapons. They were also rapidly building a vast stockpile of conventional ballistic missiles and would soon have had missiles that could reach the American homeland, Europe, and virtually any other place on Earth. Iran's strategy was so obvious. They wanted to produce as many missiles as possible, and they did, with the longest range possible, and they had some weapons that nobody believed they had. We just learned that out. We took them out. We took them all out so that no one would really dare stop them. And their race for a nuclear bomb, a nuclear weapon like nobody's ever seen before. They were right at the doorstep. For years, everyone has said that Iran cannot have nuclear weapons. But in the end, those are just words if you're not willing to take action when the time comes. As I stated in my announcement of Operation Epic Fury, our objectives are very simple and clear. We are systematically dismantling the regime's ability to threaten America or project power outside of their borders. That means eliminating Iran's Navy, which is now absolutely destroyed, hurting their Air Force and their missile program at levels never seen before, and annihilating their defense industrial base. We've done all of it. Their Navy is gone. Their Air Force is gone. Their missiles are just about used up or beaten. Taken together, these actions will cripple Iran military, crush their ability to support terrorist proxies, and deny them the ability to build a nuclear bomb. Our armed forces have been extraordinary. There's never been anything like it militarily. Everyone is talking about it, and tonight I'm pleased to say that these core strategic objectives are nearing completion. As we celebrate this progress, we think especially of the 13 American warriors who have laid down their lives in this fight to prevent our children from ever having to face a nuclear Iran. Twice this past month, I have traveled to Dover Air Force Base, and it's been something. I wanted to be with those heroes as they return to American soil, and I was with them and their families, their parents, their wives, their husbands. We salute them, and now we must honor them by completing the mission for which they gave their lives. And every single one of the people, their loved ones said, "Please, sir, please finish the job," every one of them. And we are going to finish the job, and we're going to finish it very fast. We're getting very close. I want to thank our allies in the Middle East, Israel, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the UAE, Kuwait, and Bahrain. They've been great, and we will not let them get hurt or fail in any way, shape, or form. Many Americans have been concerned to see the recent rise in gasoline prices here at home. This short-term increase has been entirely the result of the Iranian regime launching deranged terror attacks against commercial oil tankers in neighboring countries that have nothing to do with the conflict. This is yet more proof that Iran can never be trusted with nuclear weapons. They will use them, and they will use them quickly. It would lead to decades of extortion, economic pain, and instability worse than we can ever imagine. The United States has never been better prepared economically to confront this threat. You all know that. We built the strongest economy in history. We're going through it right now, the strongest in history. In 1 year, we've taken a dead and crippled country. I hate to say that, but we were a dead and crippled country after the last administration and made it the hottest country anywhere in the world by far, with no inflation, record-setting investments coming into the United States, over $18 trillion, and the highest stock market ever, with 53 all-time record highs in just 1 year. It all positioned us to get rid of a cancer that has long simmered. It's known as the nuclear Iran, and they didn't know what was coming. They've never imagined it. Remember, because of our Drill Baby Drill program, America has plenty of gas. We have so much gas. Under my leadership, we are #1 producer of oil and gas on the planet, without even discussing the millions of barrels that we're getting from Venezuela. Because of the Trump administration's policies, we produce more oil and gas than Saudi Arabia and Russia combined. Think of that, Saudi Arabia and Russia combined. And that number will soon be substantially higher than that. There's no country like us anywhere in the world, and we're in great shape for the future. The United States imports almost no oil through the Hormuz Strait and won't be taking any in the future. We don't need it. We haven't needed it, and we don't need it. We've beaten and completely decimated Iran. They are decimated, both militarily and economically and in every other way. And the countries of the world that do receive oil through the Hormuz Strait must take care of that passage. They must cherish it. They must grab it and cherish it. They can do it easily. We will be helpful, but they should take the lead in protecting the oil that they so desperately depend on. So to those countries that can't get fuel, many of which refuse to get involved in the decapitation of Iran, we had to do it ourselves. I have a suggestion. Number one, buy oil from the United States of America. We have plenty. We have so much. And number two, build up some delayed courage. Should have done it before. Should have done it with us, as we asked. Go to the Strait and just take it, protect it, use it for yourselves. Iran has been essentially decimated. The hard part is done, so it should be easy. And in any event, when this conflict is over, the Strait will open up naturally. It'll just open up naturally. They're going to want to be able to sell oil because that's all they have to try and rebuild. It will resume the flowing, and the gas prices will rapidly come back down. Stock prices will rapidly go back up. They haven't come down very much, frankly. They came down a little bit, but they've had some very good days over the last couple of days. We've done actually much better than I thought, but we had to take that little journey to Iran to get rid of this horrible threat. With our historic tax cuts, where people are just now talking about receiving larger refunds than they ever thought possible, they are getting so much more money than they thought. That's from the great, big, beautiful bill. Our economy is strong and improving by the day, and it will soon be roaring back like never before. It will top the levels that it was a month ago. I've made clear from the beginning of Operation Epic Fury that we will continue until our objectives are fully achieved. Thanks to the progress we've made, I can say tonight that we are on track to complete all of America's military objectives shortly, very shortly. We're going to hit them extremely hard over the next 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to bring them back to the Stone Ages where they belong. In the meantime, discussions are ongoing. Regime change was not our goal. We never said regime change, but regime change has occurred because of all of their original leaders' death. They're all dead. The new group is less radical and much more reasonable. Yet if during this period of time no deal is made, we have our eyes on key targets. If there is no deal, we are going to hit each and every one of their electric generating plants very hard and probably simultaneously. We have not hit their oil, even though that's the easiest target of all, because it would not give them even a small chance of survival or rebuilding. But we could hit it, and it would be gone, and there's not a thing they could do about it. They have no anti-aircraft equipment. Their radar is 100% annihilated. We are unstoppable as a military force. The nuclear sites that we obliterated with the B-2 bombers have been hit so hard that it would take months to get near the nuclear dust, and we have it under intense satellite surveillance and control. If we see them make a move, even a move for it, we'll hit them with missiles very hard again. We have all the cards, they have none. It's very important that we keep this conflict in perspective. American involvement in World War I lasted 1 year, 7 months, and 5 days. World War II lasted for 3 years, 8 months, and 25 days. The Korean War lasted for 3 years, 1 month, and 2 days. The Vietnam War lasted for 19 years, 5 months, and 29 days. Iraq went on for 8 years, 8 months, and 28 days. We are in this military operation, so powerful, so brilliant, against one of the most powerful countries for 32 days. and the country has been eviscerated and essentially is really no longer a threat. They were the bully of the Middle East, but they're the bully no longer. This is a true investment in your children and your grandchildren's future. The whole world is watching, and they can't leave the power, strength, and brilliance. They just can't believe what they're seeing. They leave it to your imagination, but they can't believe what they're seeing, the brilliance of the United States military. Tonight, every American can look forward to a day when we are finally free from the wickedness of Iranian aggression and the specter of nuclear blackmail. Because of the actions we have taken, we are on the cusp of ending Iran's sinister threat to America and the world. And I'll tell you, the world is watching. And when we do, when it's all over, the United States will be safer, stronger, more prosperous, and greater than it has ever been before.
Scared of Iran every day.
May God bless the men and women of the United States Armed Forces, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you very much, and good night.
All right, buddy, you can bring it back. So there we go. All right, here we are, Wednesday night. We are live. Hope everybody's doing good. As always, be blessed in the mighty name of Jesus. What were we watching that on, Aaron? Real America's Voice?
No, that was just AP.
Oh, AP. Okay, awesome. All right, so let's just go over this real quick, and then we're not going to talk about Iran for the rest of the night. I'm going to skip even the part. Well, I may do one little thing on Joe Kent that I like from Iran, but other than that, we're going to go to birthright citizenship after this. But just to go over this, again, love President Trump. I'm so glad he's the president. I really am. But a lot of what he says and a lot of what he said in that speech is not really accurate. Number one, we can sit and talk about how much oil and gas that we produce in the United States all we want, but everybody has noticed that although we only get 2% of our fuel, even from the Middle East, let alone what goes through the Strait, we may get none that actually goes through the Strait. I don't know, but we only get 2% from the Middle East. So why is it that our gas prices are high? And he goes, well, it's because Iran. Okay, if we only get 2% of our gas from the Middle East, then how could anything that Iran has to do, anything that Iran did have anything to do with our gas prices? Well, here's the reason why. And Iran doesn't have anything to do with it. All the oil and gas that we produce, this is all true. You can look this up. We don't have the refineries to refine it. It's truth. Yeah. What we actually do is we get our oil, which is called sweet crude, out of the ground. It doesn't have sulfur in it. It's not dirty crude. It's sweet crude. I call it dirty crude. I'm not saying which one's better. It's just one way to talk about it. But the reason why is we imported so much oil before from the Middle East. All of our refineries are set up for Canadian oil, Mexican oil, and Venezuelan oil, which is not sweet crude. All of our oil gets sent overseas. So basically what happens is that's why Trump is telling everybody, did you notice it? He said, everyone come buy our oil. Because their refineries are actually set up for our oil. Our refineries are set up for their oil. That's why our production never lowers our own gas prices. Does that make sense, Aaron?
Yeah.
There you go. That's the truth, by the way. That's 100% true. So that's if you're ever wondering why it is that we have, drill baby drill and your prices never go down. The reason why that is, it can drive the prices down if we drill a lot of oil because, again, then you have a lot of product not being chased by as many dollars, which causes the price of the barrel of oil go down. So if you actually produce more oil, yes, overall, because we're putting it into the global bloodstream of oil, then it causes prices to go down. But us producing our own oil does never cause our own price to go down because we haven't built a refinery in 30 years. Because of piss poor leadership. That's got nothing to do with Donald Trump. It has to do with Republicans and Democrats that are wretched, horrible people. They really are. Basically, we are run by wretched, horrible people. So I want to put this out there once again. So those of you that are 40 and above, 50 and above, whatever it may be, or you're wonks like Aaron knows a lot of politics. I want you to go because he was raised on Alex Jones from just a little guy. Yeah. So he knows a lot more than most people at his age. But anyway, I want you to list in your mind, because here we are once again, this very familiar scenario of having a president give us updates on Middle East wars. And by the way, he was very, very accommodating with the Iraq war number of 8 years because the Iraq war lasted far more than 8 years. The Iraq war just ended in 2023? Yeah. Okay, and that started in 2001? So it's a 22-year war that we were there. Okay, and Americans being killed every single year. So that was not really true. But now that we're getting these familiar refrains of updating us on wars, and that everybody's decimated. Remember, Aaron sent this to me. If you saw me chuckle during the speech, because Aaron sent me a clip that I can see on my left of George Bush declaring victory. Remember, on the aircraft carrier. There you go, declaring victory. Mission accomplished. Okay, that was. Let me just put this into focus for a moment. That was 22 years before we left, but the mission was accomplished. All right, and because we're getting the reports every night, Iraq is decimated. Afghanistan is decimated. But funny thing is, we surrendered both countries back.
Yep.
To Muslim Brotherhood, Al-Qaeda, Mujahideen, whatever you want to call them now, in Al-Qaeda now in Afghanistan used to be the Mujahideen, which Russia tried to win. They lost. We could have won, but we choose not to win. That's how it always is. Same with the Vietnam War and everything else. So here we are, once again, getting these updates that these countries are completely decimated. Are they? Are they really decimated? Because if they really were decimated, why is it that we hit their nuclear facilities back in June or July of 2025, and here we are hitting them or threatening to hit them again? You can take that off, Aaron. I'm going to stare at that forever. So list the number. I want everybody, just if you're I'm 57. If you're my age, maybe younger, maybe older, list our military victories since World War II. I mean, anybody? Because here's the thing, we can say that we win military victories, but how do we ever win military victories when we gain nothing from them? Absolutely nothing. Will's here tonight. Will's here on Wednesdays and Thursdays. And I always think of him whenever I'm talking about these things because he actually fought in a war in Iraq. And I think about we're risking Will's life to go over there. And what did we get out of the Iraqi war? He risked his life. In the lives of, and he probably has friends that died over there. Another Marine veteran that's works for me here at the church named Travis. Lost many friends over there in Ramadi. So I'm just wondering what it is that we get out of this. I mean, I'm wondering what we're getting right now. I know one thing, we're getting $200 a barrel. I mean, that's exaggeration, but $100 a barrel oil right now. We got that. But other than that, what are we going to get when this is over? I mean, Trump puts out there that the Strait of Hormuz is going to open naturally. Or, as I saw a commentator today, I would give them credit if I could, but I can't remember. I watch too many things, and I don't send them all the podcasts, so I can't really remember who it was that said it. But are we actually giving Iran more power? Because now, what are they going to, when we leave, and now you've got a bunch of neutered countries now that are going to be running the Strait of Hormuz, or ones that are in collusion with Iran, what's going to happen to the Strait? I mean, are we really going to believe it's just going to open naturally, or is it going to become a giant toll road for Iran to rebuild everything that's been blown up? They're just going to charge everybody. They're talking about charging $2 million a vessel to go through the Strait of Hormuz. And we just don't understand the galactic nature. I don't understand it. You don't understand it. You can't understand it unless you're in the business. I've watched videos about it, about how much oil actually goes through there, because people build a pipeline, do it on trains, whatever it may be. You can't. Talking about hundreds of millions of barrels of oil per tanker. It's absolutely insane how much is on these tankers. That's why we never actually run out of gas and oil. But anyway, just write a list of victories. There aren't any, folks. We've won some military incursions, but we always choose never to win the war. And it's the same thing here. Like here's what I'll say. I'm not even talking about the war here, but if we genuinely wanted to neuter Iran, you really want to do that via a non-military option, all you need to do is actually cut off all trade to Iran, which could be done via military blockade. We never do it. Why? Because they don't really want to win. Who owns, the biggest military supplier on the planet, the biggest member of the military industrial complex is who? Who is it? Lockheed Martin. Who owns Lockheed Martin? I bet you Aaron can guess. BlackRock. Mm-hmm. Okay, they own it. And here we are in another 30. And what are we paying? Basically, what are we paying BlackRock per day? Because who owns Honeywell? Who owns Lockheed Martin? Who owns all these? Who owns all of them? It's either Vanguard or BlackRock. And Vanguard and BlackRock are exactly the same company, because the number one stockholder in Vanguard is
BlackRock.
And the number one stockholder in Vanguard is, and the number one stockholder in BlackRock is
Vanguard.
There you go.
Weird
how that works, isn't it?
Yeah.
And BlackRock was started by 8 Jewish men. But there's all coincidence. Right? I mean, it's all coincidence, right?
Don't say that.
I mean, we went in this war. Now we're hearing from Trump tonight. Again, I love Trump. All right, voted for Trump 3 times, and I do not regret it. Because if I would have voted for if I would have voted for Ted Cruz, it'd be in the same war. Okay, I mean, it doesn't really matter. I mean, because just what happens is that Trump is the exception to the rule in most cases, but he blew it here, and he blew it hard here, because here we are once again back into a war, and we're giving BlackRock $2 billion a day. That's who's getting all the money again. And here we are, Trump talking about the nuclear threat. Now, was that what was said at the beginning of this? So you just have to ask, is Trump lying? Yes, folks, Trump is lying to us. Trump lies. He does lie. I love him. I've had good friends that lie to me on occasion. I still love them. Okay, they lie. I'll call them out on their lies if it's appropriate, but I'm just saying, I love him, but he's lying to us, because what he's doing is juxtaposing his position now. Okay, because the original intent, if everybody remembers, and I know that you've heard this ad nauseum, and we're going to jump to birthright citizenship as soon as I'm done with this little montage here, but the original motivation for getting into this war was for us to support a color revolution inside of Iran, where he says that 45,000 protesters were killed. None of that was ever verified, by the way. So they're saying that they had 45,000 protesters that were killed by the Khomeini regime. None of that was ever shown. We never saw any. Believe me, if anybody would have seen any videos of that, it would have been me. Because again, I have no life. This is what I do. I'm either memorizing Bible verses or I'm preparing for podcasts. That's really what I do, or I'm praying. Okay, that's really all, or I'm watching TV, or I'm wasting my time watching something. But other than that, that's what I do. So I mean, I spend hours. I would have seen all these videos of the Iranian protesters being killed by the Iranian regime. That never was proven to us, but that was the motivation. So we're going to go in there and we're going to do a color revolution, which I don't agree with because it's not part of the Monroe Doctrine. Anything over here, perfectly fine. I mean, I believe that Trump has the potential to be an amazing president, and in many ways has been an amazing president. If he turns things around as far as Cuba is concerned, and we end up with Cuba being a trading partner and a defanged former communist state, great. I mean, I 100% agree. I think we should have taken Greenland. Why? Because it's Monroe Doctrine, and who's going to stop us? Should have taken it. Who's going to stop us? There's 8,000 people live there. What's going to happen? Nope. I mean, what's going to happen? Denmark's coming over. Remember the ridiculous troops that they flew over? They flew over like 12 people from the like UN forces. But anyway, that's not an exaggeration, by the way. So I'm fine with that. But again, here we are in another war that has absolutely nothing to do with us, and Trump has changed and lied to us about why we got into it. That's a fact. Marco Rubio has lied about why we got into it. Or did Marco Rubio tell the truth and then change the story, which we documented last night? Because I showed you on March 2nd, he said that the reason why we're getting in this war is because we don't want to be attacked unprepared. And since Israel is going to start this war anyway, we're going to attack with Israel so that we're prepared for Iranian reprisals. Okay, that's what he said. And that was jerked back immediately. And he was like disappeared from the political spectrum for a few days. And then they came out and they ran out, Caroline Leavitt and Trump himself and everything else, and so told us the real reason why. Okay, the real reason why we're in this war is because Israel wants us in this war. And I can't understand. If you're going to ask me to explain it to you, I can't explain it to you. I don't know why we're controlled by Israel. I don't know. I honestly don't know. The easiest way to describe it is, first of all, we have a bunch of delusional Christians, like Mike Huckabee. Okay, I think Mike Huckabee's saved. I think Mike Huckabee, if he dies today, goes to heaven. I'm just saying he's delusional. And you have all these people on their stages with these pseudo Star of David flags, which are not Star of David flags. Don't have time to get into that. But anyway, Christians that believe that it is their responsibility to defend Israel, and they don't even know the Bible verse that they're talking about. And he wasn't talking to Jacob, he's talking to Abram, who wasn't even Abraham yet. Okay, in Genesis chapter 12, verse 3. So, I mean, if you bless Abram, you'll be blessed. If you curse Abram, you'll be cursed. It wasn't the nation state or the secular state of Israel. Would everybody agree? And then, not only that, if you look at Romans 11:22, consider therefore the kindness and sternness of God. Sternness to those who fell, but kindness to you, provided that you continue in his kindness. Otherwise, you also will be cut off. Now, that means that God has cut off Israel. Is that it? Could that be any more clearer?
No.
Here I am. I'm talking too long with this. All right, but again, and this may turn into a whole Israel thing. I don't know. Who knows what I'm going to say? I don't even know. But anyway, so the new nation spiritual state of Israel is the Church of Jesus Christ. The real born again, blood washed, I don't care what denominational label you put on it, the real church of Jesus Christ. The body of Christ is now the nation state of Israel that's supposed to be blessed. And we're the only ones not being blessed. We're the only ones that are being cursed as we have Islamic proliferation in our country. And the only religion that's actually protected, and the only religions that are protected in this country are actually the sons of Abraham religions, but not the Christian religion. Weird, isn't it? Isaac and Ishmael are protected, but the Son of God, Jesus Christ, is not protected. Weird, isn't it? Because those are both dead religion. Judaism is a dead religion, canceled out by the new covenant. And the Islamic religion is nothing more than a made-up cult. They call themselves the final revelation, just like the Mormons do, just like the Jehovah's Witnesses do. There's no power, there's no authority, there's no miracles. Not one of their prophecies will ever and has ever come true. But yet we're the only religion that is suffering worldwide martyrdom at the hands of other religions. The only people martyring Muslims are other Muslims or Jews. Again, both out of Abraham's seed, Ishmael and Isaac. Aaron's mom making sense so far? Have I missed anything?
No.
All right. So there you go. I mean, that's the thing. So I don't know why we are the dog to Israel's tail, the tail wagging the dog. I don't know why. I mean, it could be because you have BlackRock, which is essentially a Jewish institution run currently by a Jewish man who also runs now the WEF.
Yep.
Lee Fink's a Jewish man, isn't he?
Yep.
Yeah. Right? Weird, isn't it, that somehow or another, and Alex Jones came out today and put out a podcast. I only watched for like 10 seconds, but he put out a podcast that this war is really all about funding BlackRock.
Yeah.
What's the root of all evil? The love of money is the root of all evil. First Timothy chapter 6, verse 10. For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they've erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. And people will say, Iran is evil. I agree, Iran is evil. But again, how not evil is Israel? How not evil is Spain? How not evil is UK? How not evil is a Biden-run United States? When we were under Biden, I mean, come on. I'm not saying you and I were evil, but the institutions of America were evil. And here's the thing. You believe, there might be people that are watching, you believe that if you bless Israel, you'll be blessed. You curse Israel, you'll be cursed. Okay. Well, I don't know if I'll get to the video tonight, but I'll read it. Israel Today, they bulldozed the St. George statue in a Christian Lebanese village. Just bulldozed the Christian statue.
Yep.
Closed all the Christian landmarks at Netanyahu's whim. Whenever he feels like, closes the Christian landmarks. Harass American and non-American Christians who come into their country. You even see videos of them spitting on them. So you're supposed to bless that? They own Pornhub. They own OnlyFans. A Jewish rabbi owns OnlyFans. Or is it Pornhub? One of the two. And you're supposed to bless that then? I just want to ask Ted Cruz that as he blindly said that to Tucker. I learned in Sunday school that if you bless Israel, be blessed. If you curse Israel, curse. And then can't name the Bible verse, can't even quote it because that's not what the Bible says. There was no nation state of Israel when that verse was actually put out. So it makes no sense. He just inherently believes it because some yahoo told him that in some Sunday school class at some point. So where do you draw a line? And I just put out Romans 11:22 a minute ago, where God is cut off. So God cuts off Israel, but you and I don't? As Christians, we don't obey God? I don't see how I don't get people. I honestly don't. I used to believe the same thing until I took 5 minutes and looked into it. You know, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, Hosea 4:6, because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee. Which also lines up with Israel, but I'm saying that to many Christians right now. Now, God said that, Hosea 4:6. Has Israel rejected God? So you're supposed to bless a secular state that is the number one purveyor of abortion, transgenderism, and homosexuality, and COVID vaccines of any nation state in the region? You're supposed to bless that? Ted Cruz? You're supposed to bless that? Donald Trump? You're supposed to bless that? Mike Huckabee? Here's the thing. Marco Rubio. Go back and let's look at the COVID footage of Marco Rubio. How many times vaxxed is he? How many times did he come out and support 15 days to flatten the curve? 60 days to flatten the curve. Pimpin' and whoring Operation Warp Speed, who was put out by Donald J. Trump. And you're like, Tom, don't you realize that you lose viewers by bad-mouthing Trump? Yeah, but it doesn't matter to me. I may not have a podcast a year from now. People may all leave. Listen, Foundation Church may not exist a year from now because people all might leave because I tell people you will turn from your sin or you will burn. I don't care if you said a sinner's prayer. Easter Sunday's coming up. Doing 2 services here on Easter Sunday. And you'll see all these other churches. They'll put out their salvation stats, their fresh starts and new beginnings. And if you've come to Foundation Church, probably tired of hearing me say that over the last 6 years. But they'll put out their fresh starts and new beginnings of a bunch of people who came up and said, you know what, I'll follow Jesus. I'll follow Jesus. He's the kind of guy I'd pop open a beer with my grandpa and they sit up on the porch and cuss together. That's the kind of Jesus they're taught. Right. So without holiness, no one will see the Lord. They're not taught that Jesus out of Hebrews chapter 12, verse 14. We don't have those fresh starts and new beginnings because here's the thing. It's not a fresh start or a new beginning. It's a conversion. You want to talk about transitioning. It's a conversion. It is a 180-degree turn from your old life and giving your old life as a sacrificial offering to God and then allowing yourself to be resurrected in the faith. That's what Christianity is. Not coming to God and say, here's my old life. Lord, bless it. There's my fresh start. Yeah. Because now, I'm still sleeping with my girlfriend every night, but I've asked God to bless my life now, so I'm following Jesus. No, that's none of that is true. It's all just lies. So you look at if you badmouth Donald Trump, you say something bad about Donald Trump, people will leave because here's the thing, that's their response actually to the truth. You've probably heard me tell you this story many times on this podcast, but there's a woman that attended this church. And she sent me a message and she said, this is right at the heat of the COVID times, like March of 2020, or even before that actually, because it was before everybody had closed down their churches. And she said, well, I agree with what you're saying about COVID. Or not, she wasn't even talking about me. Usually it is me, but it was other people. So she said, there are so many people in the church and I agree with what they're saying about COVID. I just don't agree with how they're saying it. Okay. Well, then she herself locked her family down. She stopped. Of course, she went and self-quarantined her own family for a month. They all sat inside her house for a month, put out her updates every day, quarantine day 1, quarantine day 2, and all the things they were doing. And we're so blessed to have this time together and blah, 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 blah. No, okay, so I thought she agreed with everything that I said or everything that we were saying, but just not how we were saying. No. She didn't agree with the truth. Right. Not how the truth is being stated. Donald Trump said that we were getting into this war to support the Iranian protesters. Now we're getting into the war to stop them from having a nuclear weapons program that he said was already stopped and publicly proclaimed it and proclaimed the decimation and that it was all over for 40 years in July or June of 2025. How many more times are people going to believe it? Again, people will say, how many more times are you going to believe Eric swallows well as he lies? Okay, this doesn't make it righteous to lie when a Republican does it, or even when Donald Trump does it, because here we are once again in another foreign war, $39 trillion in debt. $39 trillion in debt again. Where did this debt begin? Shall we look? Just leave that up for me, Aaron. So let's just go over this real quick. You're like, Tom, get to something else. Can't. I'm just on a rant. Can't do it. So here's the thing. So here we were back whether you hate him, whether you like him, whatever it may be, I obviously can't stand Billy Clinton, okay? But Bill Clinton had to give in to NAFTA. He had to give in to, Newt Gingrich's contract with America because he lost the House and the Senate and all those different things. So there's a lot of good things that actually happened in the Clinton administration. Balanced budget amendment, all those different things was why we weren't going into the debt that we're going into now. Can't stand Bill Clinton. Voted against him every time he ran, of course. But Newt Gingrich was doing some good things at that time. And what actually sent us into the abyss of debt, even in the 90s, was what? Can anybody guess? The Herbert Walker Bush Iraq War. That started our debt cycle. This one right here. So by the end of the 90s, we were just under $1 trillion in debt. 26 years ago. 26 years ago. Young lad, myself, of 31. We were less than $1 trillion in debt. And then what did we do? We responded to a CIA/Mossad op called 9/11, where you had John Brennan, who was a bigwig in the CIA at the time, facilitated every single 9/11 hijacker into the country, and that's all been proven. He's never been prosecuted. We had the Israeli dancers. We had the very suspicious avoidance of the Twin Towers by Howard Lutwick and others that somehow just managed to avoid that happening, avoided being in the office on that day.
Yeah, the owner.
The owner of one of the twins.
Larry Silverstein.
Larry Silverstein.
Yep.
Strangely, wasn't there? It was Lutwick too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they both strangely, Jewish men,
Yep.
both strangely avoided. They never missed being in the office except for on 9/11.
Weird.
Yeah, September 11th of 2001. So that's where this all began. So what did we do after they blow up the Twin Towers, and then you had unknown people blow up Building 7, get the Pentagon, the other plane that crashed in Pennsylvania. Okay, you had 3,000 plus Americans dead. So what do? We bomb Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And we bomb Iraq. I mean, you can say that Osama bin Laden, who has very strong ties to the CIA, you can say that he was the person who, took credit for the strike or whatever it may be, although none of us can ever prove that. But anyway, whatever it may be, do I think Osama bin Laden's an evil man? Yeah. It's like I think the Khomeinis, every Ayatollah Khomeini's an evil man. So we go and we start wars in Afghanistan and Iraq as a reprisal for the 9/11 hijacking and decimation of the Twin Towers. How does that make sense to anybody? Does that make sense to anybody at all that you go and attack Iraq?
And he was hiding in Pakistan too.
Yeah, right. He's in Pakistan. Right. So we actually were warring in Afghanistan for 25 years. Most of that time, during that war, Osama bin Laden was never there. It obviously took us many, many years to find him and kill him. And nobody can prove that either, by the way. Strange how that, it's like you would think that it would be back like in the old West days, like when you killed Jesse James, you put him on public display.
Yeah.
None of us ever saw that body. Weird, isn't it? I don't know. Just call me crazy. I mean, it's verification. It's just like I'd like to see some verification on the Epstein body also, which never has happened either. You'd think you'd want to dispel all the rumors. That's what I would do.
Right.
But anyway, so that we decide after the 9/11 hijacking terror attacks that we're going to start wars in two different countries. One of which, Saddam Hussein, had absolutely nothing to do with 9/11. And also was a confirmed CIA asset and was actually prodded into the Iran-Iraq war by the CIA. And was actually instructed by the CIA to start that war. But then he, I guess, decided to disobey CIA/Mossad. And I guess that George now we're at George W. Bush decides he's going to try to kill the man who allegedly tried to kill his father, which also can never be proven. None of this can ever be proven. Just like nobody can ever prove to you that COVID actually existed. Can't really prove it to you. But anyway, I'm not saying it didn't. I'm just saying, who knows? But anyway, so we go and attack two countries. So what happens then? $9 trillion worth of debt. So you just round that up. So by the end of George W. Bush's 8 years and mission accomplished on the carrier, we start off at $10 trillion worth of debt. More than any debt ever in the history of our country by any president at any time, and cumulatively for the entirety of the United States existence from 1776 to the year 2008.
Yep.
We had less than $1 trillion worth of debt when he took office, when he left office, as a Republican, who I voted for twice. The first person that I ever voted for was Herbert Walker Bush. Yes, Tom, you're dumb. You agreed. But I was never for the Iraqi Afghanistan war, because in my mind I'm like, why are we attacking? That would literally be like Will punching me in the face and me hitting Aaron in the face.
Right, exactly.
Aaron had nothing to do with Will punching me in the face, and I go over and punch Aaron in the face. Absolutely nothing to do with it. So that gets us $10 trillion with it. Well, then you have a Democrat who I'm sure is going to come in because he has to be against wars, right? Because he's a Democrat.
Right.
He'd have to be. No, we just continued on. And Hussein Obama added $11 trillion to the debt. Much of it in Afghanistan, much of it in Iraq. And of course, a lot of it also going to Democratic Party NGOs, fully staffed by Democrats who hire Democrats. A lot of it's going there too. So that he adds $11 trillion. So then Donald J. Trump comes into office. You're like, woo, thank goodness we got a Republican. Oh, wait, it was a Republican that started the war. So will a Republican end the war? No, he didn't end the wars either. Then we were still in Afghanistan, still in Iraq for the 4 years of Donald J. Trump, 17, 18, 19, and 20. There we were. And then we spent an additional $7 trillion on COVID. And then you have Joe Biden come in. And you're like, well, he'll end the wars. Well, he didn't end it in 21. He didn't end it in 22. I think he ended in 23 or 22. So he finally drew the troops down in the greatest apocalypse in United States military history at Abbey Gate. Because he's a dundering moron. Why did he end it? Don't know. I don't know. But he himself added somewhere between, depending on who it is that you believe, somewhere between $9 and $12 trillion onto the debt. But luckily, then we get Donald J. Trump gets elected. Woo, we won.
Yes.
So when he entered office 1 year ago, 1 year and 3 months ago. So we'll just say 15 months ago. That'd be fair. Would everybody agree?
Yep.
So we'll go Donald J. Trump entered office 15 months ago. We were $36 trillion in debt. 1 year later, we are $3 trillion more in debt. He's adding $3 trillion a year in debt as a Republican. Does it make it right because now it's Trump doing it? See, that's the problem with people who are MAGA morons. It's very Pharisaic. It's very cultish to claim that when one person lies, it's okay. And when the other person lies, it's a sin.
Right.
When Donald Trump adds $3 trillion to the debt, that's the same as the Biden $3 trillion. It's still printed money from the Federal Reserve. Bankrupting you, bankrupting your kids. Each and every citizen of the United States owes $120,000 right now. But it's okay when Trump does it. It's okay when he starts a war, but it's not okay when Clinton bombs aspirin factories, but it's fine when Donald Trump kills 160 girls at a girls' school in Iran. And none of it's good. None of it is. So people, listen, if you want to be for the war because you're killing bad people, okay. Who's next?
Right.
I mean, why is it that we really don't go after the real bad people? The real bad people of the World Economic Forum, the real bad people, if you're going to, I don't even agree that they're bad. I agree. China's really bad, but I don't think that Russia's bad at all. I really don't. Does that mean that I believe that they're part of the body of Christ? No. Some are. Obviously, there's many Russian Christian people, but I'm just saying, do I believe that Putin is a solid born-again believer? Obviously not. But is he worse than Zelensky? No. Zelensky's track record is far worse than Putin's. But allegedly, you go fight for Zelensky, you're fighting for democracy because for some reason, you put the label of democracy on him, not you personally, but you put the label of democracy on him, even though he has no democratic characteristics, Just like people say, it's the same sort of delusion as saying when Trump lies, it's okay, but when Biden lies, it's sin.
Yeah.
It's the same sort of delusion. And we get the same debt no matter what. All right, let me get off of this. Let me do a little bit on this because this is the big news of the day. Grace Chong video. All right, so now I badmouth Trump for the last 27 minutes straight, sort of. And badmouth Israel. Okay, good. And they both deserve it when it comes to this war. But anyway, here's the greatness of Trump. Tom, you take hardcore right-hand turn. That's what you have to do with humans. That's what Will's had to do with me. When I've treated him bad, he's had to go, I'm going to forgive him or not forgive him, right? Okay, same thing. He's had to do with me. Okay, that's what you do with human beings. They're human beings. So with Trump, I hate the Iran war, said it from the pulpit on Sunday. But here's the greatness of Trump. The giant, and even the Iran war shows the giant balls of Trump. It really does. You got to have giant balls to do what he's doing. And to go to the Supreme Court and actually challenge birthright citizenship, because that is actually very similar to everybody's fraudulent belief in the sanctity of Israel. Is people believe in the sanctity of birthright citizenship. How dare you say that if someone was born in the United States of America, that they're not a citizen? Well, because they're not.
Right.
Because they're not a citizen just because they're born here. But the Constitution says no, it doesn't. It had nothing to do with allowing people to illegally enter this country or even legally enter this country and have babies and then deem their children as citizens. It only had to do with, of course, that birthright citizenship was implemented right after what? The Civil War, to take care of the slave problem that we ourselves caused ourselves. Of course, I mean, again, I spent 3 hours on the slave delusion too, about a minor player we were in the slave trade. But we were taking care of the people that we brought into this country. We actually brought them in illegally. They didn't enter illegally. We brought them in illegally, so we were deeming them, because they came from a foreign land and their children were born to them here, as citizens, because we brought them in, not people who come here and not people who come here illegally. We were taking care of a problem that we ourselves caused. So Donald Trump has giant balls to go after this. The chances of us winning this are not good. But the greatness of Trump is closing that southern border. The greatness of Trump is a $4 billion foreign investment into the state of Alabama to build cars. Can't remember whether it's BMW. Well, I can't remember.
It was Mercedes.
Mercedes. $4 billion, I believe it is,
yep,
that they're investing in the state of Alabama. That's the greatness of Trump. The downside of Trump is they're still spending $3 trillion over our budget every year under Trump. $2 billion a day in a foreign war. But here's the greatness of Trump. Grace Chong video, Dr. John Eastman is headed to the Supreme Court tomorrow to argue birthright citizenship. That was today, under the 14th Amendment. Play it for me.
The 14th Amendment says you got to be born here. That's requirement one. But you got to be subject to the jurisdiction here as well and reside in a state. That means temporary visitors, and certainly those who are here illegally, are not covered by the automatic citizenship of the Citizenship Clause. And that was the way we understood it for about a century. And kind of gradually, beginning in the 1950s or 60s, we moved away from that position. But President Trump's executive order restores the original meaning of the Citizenship Clause. If you're here illegally, then you're not subject to the complete jurisdiction. You're not part of our political community. If you're here just temporarily, you're here by our grace. You have not joined our political community. You're a visitor. And that's what the original meaning meant, and that's what the original court decisions were. That's what the original leading treatise writers of the 1870s said. That's what the secretaries of state said in the 1880s. So it's only more recently that we've adopted this more radical view that anybody born here, no matter the circumstances, are citizens.
And you know what? Here's a sure sign that you're probably wrong: is nobody else on the planet does it.
Right.
You know, I'm sitting in a room right now with two other Christian men who pray and read the Bible. So I know, you know what? I know Will does it. I know Aaron does it. So, it's a good chance that there's a good chance that I could be right. Multitude of counsels are safety. Nobody else on the planet has birthright citizenship. I mean, we could all go right now. We could go. I mean, if you're of the age and you go and have a baby in Thailand, go ahead. that baby's a United States citizen, not a citizen of Thailand.
Right.
Same thing in UK, Spain, Portugal, France, Iran, Iraq, anywhere you want to name. Anywhere, good, bad, or indifferent. Turkey, China, Russia, Ukraine, doesn't matter. Anywhere you go, you can have a baby there. Your wife can give birth to your child in a Spanish hospital, and that child is still a citizen of the United States, and it will be rejected as a citizen of Spain. Only in America do you have birthright citizenship, which is a sure sign that you are completely and totally wrong. You realize that there are 100,000 Chinese citizens who have dual citizenship in the United States of America solely based on they came over, Chinese businessmen hired American whores, for all intents and purposes, figuratively, not literally, but actually literally, to actually carry over the inseminated fetus, the inseminated baby, inject it into a woman in America. She gives birth to that child who's fully Chinese in America. It gets his social security number and his birth certificate back to China. There's 100,000 of those. Yep. And Democrats are arguing to keep it that way. That's what it means to be a Democrat in 2026. You're like, Tom, you're always saying that. I know. Democrats want to butcher the unborn, slaughter, mutilate children, have drag shows with men, 48-year-old men, twerking their taped up penises in the faces of 8-year-old girls. That's the Democratic Party. And the Democratic Party is arguing right now. They're arguing right now for all intents and purposes. It's actually an ACLU attorney, which of course is a Democratic Party NGO, that you and I have sent millions and millions and millions of dollars to throughout the years of our taxpayer dollars, to the ACLU. Guarantee it. But anyway, they're arguing right now to keep it in place so that the Chinese can continue to have, and by the way, what do all those citizens in China do? Vote for Democrats. That's what they do, to defang America. And the Democrats are actually arguing to keep that in place. Let's go to another Real America's Voice video. One of my favorite commentators and legal experts, Mike Davis. This could be a 7-2 case. Play it for me.
I worry this is a 7-2 case, and I worry that the only two justices who will actually have the courage to follow the law here are Justice Clarence Thomas and Justice Sam Alito. I worry that the Chief Justice and the 3 Trump justices will join the 3 leftists who will always vote against President Trump. But again, the law is so crystal clear here that we, the people, the sovereign citizens of America, get to decide who comes, who goes, get to decide who our fellow citizens are. And we didn't give that away. We certainly did not give that away after the Civil War. The 14th Amendment, the birthright citizenship clause, was to correct an egregious wrong with the Dred Scott Supreme Court decision that held that the freed slaves are not citizens. We fixed that with the 14th Amendment. There is a Supreme Court case that has extended that to lawful and permanent residents of the United States, the Chinese exclusion case. But there is no way in hell that the proponents of the 14th Amendment or the public at the time ever agreed to give birthright citizenship to illegal aliens, to give birthright citizenship to 1.5 Chinese birth tourists who are coming to America, giving birth in America, going back to China, where they never step foot in America again. They're American citizens, and then in 18 years, they get a vote. They get a mail in their vote from Beijing. There's no way in hell we agree to that. And if the Supreme Court actually holds that the 14th Amendment gives birthright citizenship to Chinese birth tourists, the Supreme Court is going to torch its legitimacy with the American people.
I think that's exactly right, and I think the legitimacy is going to.
I can show you the whole thing. It's really good, but I'm gonna skip ahead. So, and he says one. I think he said 1.5. So you think he said 1.5 million? And so I may be way off on my 100,000 number. That may have been in a year or whatever it may be. So he's saying that there's 1.5 birth tourism United States citizens, 1.5 million in China right now. And as soon as they turn 18, they start voting in our elections. And this just keeps. I think maybe it's 100,000 a year. I don't know. I don't know what the number is. But bottom line is the Democratic Party is voting to keep the birthing, the Chinese birth tourism industry alive. Just like they want to keep the southern border open so that you have all these people that are going to vote for Democrats pouring into our country, either literally or figuratively. They're pouring in, of course, through the southern border until Donald Trump closed the southern border, which he did a great job doing. Yep. Or you actually have them bringing in people with inseminated embryos, injecting them into American women. They're giving birth here. This is all fact, by the way. It's all documented, absolutely true. And according to Mike Davis, they got 1.5 million dual citizens over in China right now voting for Democrats, or will shortly vote for Democrats. So let's look at the great job of one of Trump's nominees. And here's my thing. Do I blame Trump for Amy Coney Barrett? Yes.
Yep.
You know why did he go with Amy Coney Barrett instead of Ken Paxton? Because she's a woman. And you get political credit for it. And she'll get voted. No Democrat's going to vote for her anyway. Put in the hardcore dude. Put in the Andrew Bailey types. But anyway, Red Wave Press video. Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett. Here's her comments. We'll go over them. If I start talking about it, I won't ever get to the video. Play it for me.
Let's talk about its applications. So, there are some, I can imagine it being messy in some applications. So what would you do with what the common law called foundlings? The thing about this is then you have to adjudicate. If you're looking at parents, and if you're looking at parents' domicile, then you have to adjudicate both residence and intent to stay. What if you don't know who?
Yeah, so here's what if you don't know, this, like, the video cuts it off. That wasn't Will or Aaron. What if you don't know who the parents are? How many cases are there like that? So basically, Amy Coney Barrett, John Roberts too, are going to vote against this. They're going to vote to keep birthright citizenship in place. Pretty much know that from their comments today. So her argument is, here's what she says. Let's talk about its applications. So there are some. So what? The Chinese birthing tourism industry is enough to overturn this. Would everybody agree? There's 1.5 million Chinese babies who knows how old they are in China right now with full citizenship in the United States of America. That in and of itself should make you say we can't have birthright citizenship in its current format. When in its current format is a Democratic Party fraud, absolute fraud. So, but here comes Amy Coney Barrett. I can imagine it being messy on some applications. So what? So what if 1 out of 100,000 applications are messy? That's when the idiots come out. Okay, when they'll say, well, not everybody is born a male or a female. You have like an hermaphrodite. 1 out of a billion? And you're going to now stipulate social law based on a 1 in 1 billion chance of something happening where someone is born with some male and some female genitalia or organs? That happens 1 out of a billion times. And that's what this idiot is saying. Because you know what? Here's the thing, and I'm going to lose viewers on this right now. Get ready. That's what happens when you put a soccer mom in the Supreme Court.
Yep.
Okay? This is what happens. Well, there might be that one person who needs my compassion. Go adopt another kid then. Okay? Go do something else. How does she even take care of her 10 kids when she's a justice on the Supreme Court? No, it must have turned her dad into a mom dad. So so this is her quote. What would you do? That's what she said. With what the common law calls foundlings. The thing about this is then you have to adjudicate if you're looking at parents, and if you're looking at a parent's domicile where they live, then you have to adjudicate both residence and intent to stay. Why? Where's intent to stay? Are these people citizens of the United States subject to the jurisdiction they're in? Are they or are they not? If you are a green card holder that we have welcomed into this country, you and your wife, and you do great things for America, and you have a baby here, that child is not subject to the jurisdiction they're in. You are subject to the jurisdiction of your originating country. What would happen if you got deported? Where would you go? That's the jurisdiction that you're subject to. If Aaron is traveling in Tripoli, if Aaron's traveling in Monaco, if Will is over doing business in the UK and he gets in trouble, where does he get deported to? That's the jurisdiction you're subject to. That's the jurisdiction that you are subject to under birthright citizenship, wherever you'd be deported to. This woman is a soccer mom, fruit roll-up eating, minivan driving moron. And she's a Supreme Court justice. And because she has great powers of memorization, she's a genius. Oh yeah, you're a genius and you're arguing this point when you got 1.5 million Chinese birth industry citizens voting for Democrats in China right now. And how many are going to how many times is going to happen this year? 100,000? So listen to this genius. Here's Ketanji Brown Jackson side by side, Aaron, would you? Here's Ketanji Brown Jackson, brought to us by Joe Biden, who doesn't know what a woman is now going to tell us whether or not we should keep birthright citizenship. Listen to this opinion. Play it for me.
I was thinking about this, and I think there are various sources that say this, that you obviously have permanent allegiance based on being born in whatever country you're from. That's what everybody recognizes. But you also have local allegiance when you are on the soil of this other sovereign. And I was thinking, I, a U.S. citizen, am visiting Japan. And what it means is that, if I steal someone's wallet in Japan, the Japanese authorities can arrest me and prosecute me. It's allegiance, meaning can they control you as a matter of law. I can also rely on them if my wallet is stolen to, under Japanese law, go and prosecute the person who has stolen it. So there's this relationship based on, even though I'm a temporary traveler, I'm just on vacation in Japan, I'm still locally owing allegiance in that.
So Aaron just said it. She doesn't know what a man or a woman is. She can't define exactly what a woman is, but she's going to define citizenship. And the scariest thing in the world, I think Will was like, when she said it was, I've been thinking about this. Ketanji Brown Jackson synapses firing between her ears is the most horrifying thing to planet Earth. But she actually says this. If this is how, of course, she's going to vote to keep birthright citizenship, because if I steal a wallet, this is how she defines jurisdiction therein, subject to the jurisdiction therein. If I steal a wallet in Japan, I'm subject to Japanese laws. In a sense, it's allegiance. So, of course, she is saying that she only applies jurisdiction to things like in law enforcement. This is my jurisdiction. That's the only thing that she can think of, because she's a narrow-minded moron who refuses to define a woman, which is an adult human female. Okay, Amy Coney Barrett, 1.5 million Chinese illegal birth tourism citizens, now American citizens, are living in China right now because they flew over with an embryo, implanted an American, birthed the child here, called it an American citizen, flew back to China, never to see American again. That right there ends the whole thing. It ends the entire thing right then and there. It's over. And then you are Amy Coney Barrett. You are the company that you keep. You are in company with Ketanji Brown Jackson, who actually says that if you get arrested in Japan for stealing a wallet, you have allegiance to Japan. And you're subject to the jurisdiction therein because she only sees in the single-minded way of jurisdiction as far as law enforcement. No, jurisdiction just means area of control. That's all it means. It doesn't mean law enforcement only. It's basically the area. It's like Sarasota County Public Works can't go do its public works in Manatee County, right? Because this is their jurisdiction. So they can't put water lines in Manatee County. Does that have anything to do with law enforcement or allegiance? So imagine how stupid you have to be. Because she's saying that because, okay, but why isn't that? Because we've had lots of Americans arrested in foreign countries. Then why aren't they citizens? Because they have an allegiance there. Imagine saying something so stupid that you actually feel an allegiance towards a country who arrests you. I have an allegiance. Thank you. I came over and committed, fraud, and you arrested me. I'm going to spend 13 years in your prisons. Thank you. I have an allegiance to you. Imagine being that stupid. That's who runs our country, Republican and Democrat. That's who runs our country. And that's Ketanji Brown Jackson. All right, that's good for the night. All right. Do we have any rants tonight,
We got
Aaron?
5.
All right, 5 rants. Let's hit them real quick.
Graffiti Bug donated $20. Thankful
Graffiti
for
bug.
this podcast and Foundation Church. Praying blessings come your way through God's promises.
Thank you. Receive that in Jesus' name. Thank you, Graffiti Bug. Go to the next one for me.
Nated Dad 1 donated $20. Welcome back, guys.
Someday Grok will get it. Nate Dad 1, thank you. Thank you, Nate Dad. Appreciate you as always. Thank you for your faithfulness. Go to the next one for me.
Charlie 340 donated $50. Missed you last week. Keep preaching.
Always, Charlie 340. I'm on it in Jesus' mighty name. Go to the next one for me.
Jolts 21 Hours donated $10. Only Jesus.
That's it. Only Jesus, not Trump or anybody else. Love Trump, but you know what? Jesus is the way. Go to the next one for me.
Last one.
Last one.
Les
right
Cruz Brown donated $50. Greetings from Puerto Rico.
Oh,
Great
wow,
to
cool.
see you back in your wheelhouse and thankful to see you healed. Jesus is our healer.
here. Amen, brother. Absolutely agree 100%. Jesus is our healer. By his stripes, we are healed. Amen and amen. Love you guys. Stick around for the post game back here tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. As always, love you all. God bless you.
Should not be a limiting idea. If he has someone that he likes, he's someone he thinks will foot the bill, I would, in all other things being equal, pick the Hispanic because we should look like America in the court. But do not suggest that you should only pick a woman, a black, Hispanic.
I've made no decision except one. That person will be the first black woman ever nominated to the United States Supreme Court.
Oh, that looks different. That's me. Oh, that's impressive.
All right, let's see this.
About precision, not power. Even force, perfectly distributed.
You're telling me those sticks can control a ping pong ball?
I don't control the ball.
Okay, now it's just showing off.
The ball listens.
What's that you brought along?
Just a little toy.
Ha! Let's see it then.
Feels sneaky, I like it.
It's not sneaky, it's honest movement. You see, when you bounce same rhythm, he reads you. So step, stop, then go, break the beat.
Like a drummer missing a note on purpose.
Exactly. He thinks you're here, boom, you're over here.
Let me try.
Light, don't show him the stuff.
A man that's on his game.
On his game. Top of his game.
He's at the top of his game. Top of his game. Such a consequential president of the United States. A Mount Rushmore kind of president.
Is on the ball. The man knows more than most of us have forgotten.
Was on his game.
I walk into the Oval Office or see him on Air Force One, I have to be on top of my game.
Do you believe President Biden is the future of the Democratic Party? The strongest person to represent Democrats in 2024?
Absolutely.
Biden is extraordinarily strong.
Is the strongest, most accomplished president we've had in my lifetime.
Boldest and strongest American presidents we have had.
Focused and disciplined leader.
Focused. His recall was good.
Focused. He's detail-oriented.
Fitness, his vigor is beyond question.
It's
as vigorous a
from your private
or
phone.
boss as I have
I
ever
figured.
had. Fully vigorous and great mental and physical health.
Effective and capable president.
Fully capable of doing the job.
Capable and ready to serve another term.
Capable.
Seasoned and capable leader.
I have seen a lot of 72-year-olds not as capable as this 80-year-old.
We have a talented and capable president.
Yeah, but I don't think he's capable. I know he's capable.
He is capable. A strong and capable president was fully capable of competently leading our nation.
President Biden has a photographic memory.
Out of my mind that the president is mentally fit for office.
But the president's stamina President's wisdom, ability to get this done on behalf of the American people against anyone.
So regardless about how you feel about voter ID, right, this is not about that. This is about ease of registration, right? The most common form of ID that everybody has is a driver's license, right? I'm of a different era, I'm of a different generation. I probably feel a little bit differently about it, but watch this. How many people in here do not have an ID? Right? Everybody has an ID, right? So my thoughts on it a little bit differently.
Podcast is all about. We talk about a lot of political things, but underneath all of that is the Bible. I am unapologetically 100% in favor of is the Bible. Jesus is the Word. There is no delineation. If the Bible says it, that's what Jesus is, and that's what Jesus believes. That's what this podcast is actually about, is to actually alert people to what is coming and what is our responsibility in the midst of it.